The blackness of space was quiet, too quiet for someone like Sinex. He sat in the pilot seat of the small human scout ship Osprey, staring at the floating wreck in front of him. The prison ship Arbitrium, long abandoned, cold, silent, but not empty. "Mission brief updated," said the calm voice of the ship's onboard AI Argo. "Objective: locate and extract high-value prisoners, possible survivors in cryostasis. Exercise caution." Sinex narrowed his eyes. He was a soldier, a tactician, a man who had seen too many battles. But this mission wasn't about war. It was a rescue. At least that's what Command said. He guided the Osprey closer to the old Varnak ship. Its hull was scarred with burn marks, some pieces missing as if torn by explosions. The ship had been drifting near the Zoran Rift for years. The Varnak Empire had used it as a floating prison during their war with many alien species, a place where enemies disappeared and were forgotten. Sinex suited up, grabbed his gear, and stepped into the airlock. "Open bay doors," he ordered. With a hiss, the outer doors opened and he floated across the gap between the two ships. Magnetic boots clicked onto the Arbitrium's surface, holding him steady. He moved slowly, cutting through the hull with a plasma tool. Inside, the ship was dark and cold. Lights flickered weakly. The air smelled old, like metal and dust. His scanner beeped. "2 life signs detected," Argo said in his ear. "Sector C9. Cryopods." Sinex made his way through broken corridors and past long-dead control panels. Strange alien writing covered the walls. He kept his rifle ready. Though the ship seemed dead, he knew better than to relax. Finally, he reached Sector C9. The cryo room. 2 pods stood side by side, each glowing faintly. The first pod held a tall female alien with pale blue skin, silver hair, and faint glowing lines along her arms. Her name, according to the panel, was Aliari. She was Imari, a warrior race known for their psychic skills and deep pride. She had been captured while leading a rebellion against the Varnak. The second pod held a very different figure, a gentle-looking woman with green-tinted skin and large, calm eyes. Her name was Thessalin, a Relari. Peaceful by nature, the Relari were diplomats and healers. Thessalin had tried to broker peace between her people and the Varnak before being arrested. Sinex checked the pod status. Both were alive but weak. However, only one escape pod on his ship could support cryo recovery. The ship AI repeated it. "Only one life pod operational. You must choose one to extract." Sinex stared at the 2 pods. One a fighter, one a peacemaker. Both had been locked away for defying a cruel empire. Both had risked everything for their people. He looked at the control panel. "This isn't right," he muttered. "They don't deserve to be trapped like this." His orders were clear. Pick one, bring her back. Let Command decide the rest. But Sinex was never the kind of man to follow orders blindly, not after what he'd seen in the last war. He had watched friends die for choices made by others. He had followed orders that left innocent people behind. He had sworn to never make that mistake again. "No," he said firmly. "I'm not choosing. I'm freeing both." He knelt by the cryo units, fingers dancing over the control panel. He could divert power from the old Varnak systems. He could transfer part of the life support backup to his ship. It would take time, and it would be risky. The lights flickered. The air groaned. "Warning," Argo said. "Unknown systems activating. You may be detected." Sinex didn't stop. His hands moved faster. Sweat formed under his helmet. The countdown had begun. One of the pods beeped, Aliari's. The unlock sequence was starting. Then the ship trembled. Something had woken up. In the distance, he heard the whirring of machines. Drones? Security bots? He didn't know yet, but they were coming. Sinex stood up, gun ready. He had to protect the cryo room until both women were awake. He had made his choice. He would save them both. Or die trying. The old prison ship shook again. Sinex aimed his rifle at the dark hallway outside the cryo room. Red lights flashed on the ceiling. A strange mechanical sound echoed through the corridor, clicks and hums growing louder. Defense systems activating, Argo warned through his earpiece. Security drones approaching, ETA 3 minutes. He looked back at the cryopods. Aliari's pod was opening. With a loud hiss, steam rose from the seals. The glass door slowly slid open. Aliari's eyes opened. Her gaze was sharp, glowing with a soft silver light. She sat up fast, breathing hard, fists clenched. For a moment she looked ready to fight. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice deep and serious. "My name is Sinex. I'm here to rescue you," he said calmly. Aliari's silver eyes narrowed. She looked around quickly, noticing the second pod. "Another prisoner? You are waking her too?" "Yes," he said, checking the controls. "I'm not leaving anyone behind." Aliari stood slowly. She was weak but proud. Her body showed scars, proof of battles long past. Still, her presence was strong. She moved like a warrior even now. "You are not Varnak," she said. "No, I'm human. The Varnak War ended years ago. Your people, they thought you were lost." She looked away, her face unreadable. "Let's talk later," Sinex said. "We have company coming." She didn't ask more questions. She picked up a broken metal rod from the floor and stood beside him. "Then I will fight." Sinex nodded. "Good." The hallway lights flickered again. The sound of rolling wheels and metal limbs echoed closer. Then came the first drone, a floating sphere with small laser arms and a glowing red eye. Sinex shot first. The drone sparked and fell. 2 more followed. Aliari moved fast, smashing one to the ground with her metal rod. "You fight well," she said, slightly surprised. "You haven't seen anything yet," Sinex replied. Behind them, Thessalin's pod began to beep. The warm-up cycle had started. They had little time. Aliari glanced back. "Who is she?" "Thessalin, a Relari. Diplomat. Captured by the Varnak during peace talks." Aliari frowned. "The Relari? They are kind. Too kind. They tried to stop the war with words while others died with weapons. She tried to save lives, that matters too," Sinex said firmly. Aliari was silent, but she didn't argue. More drones swarmed into the room. Sinex ducked and rolled, firing shot after shot. Aliari deflected one with her rod and used her psychic power to push another into the wall. It exploded with a flash of sparks. Together they held the room. Then the second pod hissed open. Thessalin slowly opened her eyes. She blinked, confused. Her voice was soft and gentle. "Where am I?" "You're safe," Sinex said. "For now." Aliari stepped closer, watching her carefully. Thessalin sat up, looking between them. Her calm eyes settled on Sinex. She nodded slowly. "You're human. You woke us both." "Why?" "Because I had to. I wasn't going to leave either of you behind." Thessalin's eyes glowed slightly with green light. "You chose kindness over command. That is rare." Aliari crossed her arms. "Kindness will not help us if we die here." Sinex reloaded his rifle. "We're not dying today, there's a way out, but we need to move fast." Thessalin stood, still weak, but with surprising grace. "There's more to this ship than prison walls. I feel something here. Fear, anger, pain." "She's an empath," Sinex explained. "She can sense emotion. I can also calm it," Thessalin added. "Sometimes." Aliari looked at her, still unsure. "Can you calm a warship?" Thessalin tilted her head. "Maybe." The 3 of them began moving through the ship. Sinex led, mapping the path to the hangar where his shuttle waited. Aliari covered the rear. Thessalin walked in the center, touching walls as she passed, then she stopped. "There are secrets here," she said. "This ship, it was not just a prison. The Varnak were doing experiments." "On who?" Sinex asked. "On us," she whispered. "On many species," Aliari growled. "Varnak monsters. Sinex checked his scanner. We don't have time to uncover everything, but if you can help us shut down the defenses, we can come back later. Thessalon nodded. I will try. They reached the engine room. Machines buzzed and flickered. A glowing sphere pulsed in the center, part of the ship's power core and AI brain. Thessalon stepped forward. Her hands touched the console. She closed her eyes. A green light surrounded her. The lights in the room dimmed, then turned soft white. Ship systems. Stable, Argo reported. Defense shutdown initiated. Aliari stared. You did it. I only asked the ship to stop being afraid, Thessalon said softly. It listened. Sinex looked at both of them. Warrior and healer. So different, but both strong. We're getting out of here, he said. Together. As the engines began to hum and the ship's weapons powered down, Sinex knew this was just the beginning. These two women weren't just prisoners. They were symbols of something bigger. And now, the galaxy would know their names. The old prison ship Arbitrium groaned as systems began to power down. Emergency lights faded to a soft glow and the sound of drones stopped. The ship's core, once angry and chaotic, was now calm, thanks to Thessalon's touch. Sinex didn't waste time. He tapped his comm. Argo, are you receiving this? Loud and clear, the AI responded. You have stabilized the ship's core, but energy levels are falling. Recommend immediate evacuation. We're on our way. He turned to Thessalon and Aliari. Let's move. Thessalon nodded, still holding the console gently. Her green glow faded. I've done what I can. The ship is sleeping now. Aliari rolled her shoulders. Good. Then it won't stop us. When we leave. The three of them began moving through the winding halls. Aliari led this time, her sharp eyes scanning every shadow. Sinex followed close behind, with Thessalon walking quietly beside him. As they walked, Sinex spoke into his wrist device. Argo, prep the escape pod. We're bringing 2 guests. Pod ready. Docking port located on Deck B. Copy. They reached a tall stairwell that led to Deck B. The metal steps creaked under their feet. Dust floated in the air, catching in the low light. Suddenly, a deep hum echoed through the ship. Thessalon stopped. Her eyes widened. Something's wrong, she whispered. Aliari turned sharply. What did you feel? Fear. From the ship. But not the ship itself. Something inside it. Still awake. Before anyone could respond, a loud crash came from below. A metal wall burst open and something climbed through. It was not a drone. It was a Varnak war unit. An old one. But still, dangerous. A tall spider-like machine with 4 legs and a glowing red sensor in its center. Its weapons clicked into place. Targets detected, it said in a harsh, robotic voice. Prisoners not authorized to leave. Human assistance illegal. Back, Sinex shouted. Aliari stepped forward. Let me. She raised both hands and her psychic power sparked like lightning between her fingers. The air around her pulsed. She sent a blast toward the machine. The war unit staggered but didn't fall. It turned and fired a plasma bolt. Aliari dodged, barely missing the shot. Sinex returned fire with his rifle aiming at the machine's joints. Sparks flew, but the unit charged forward again. Too strong, he said. We need to trap it. Thessalon looked around and pointed to a broken pipe overhead. Shoot the support, she cried. Sinex didn't hesitate. He fired at the pipe's base. The metal beam fell with a loud crash, landing on the machine. It screeched and tried to rise, but its legs were pinned. Aliari didn't waste the chance. She rushed forward, focused her mind, and sent a second psychic wave. The red eye of the machine flickered, then went dark. It was silent again. They stood there for a moment, breathing hard. Was that guarding us? Sinex asked. No, Thessalon said softly. It was guarding a secret. Aliari looked down at the crushed machine. Then it failed. Sinex shook his head. This ship has too many surprises. Let's not wait for the next one. They moved quickly to the docking bay. The large doors creaked open, revealing the small but ready escape. Shuttle. Welcome aboard, said Argo. Escape pod stable. All systems green. As they stepped inside, Thessalon paused. Wait, she said. There's something else. What is it? Cenax asked. She pointed to a small terminal near the door. This panel holds data. I can feel pain stored in it. Voices trapped. Aliari frowned. More prisoner logs? Worse, Thessalon said. Experiments, secrets, evidence. Cenax looked at the screen. Lines of alien code ran across it. He connected a small data drive from his suit. We'll take it. If the Varnak were hiding something here, the galaxy needs to know. The pod's engines powered up with a soft hum. They took their seats. Cenax at the controls, Thessalon beside him, and Aliari standing by the hatch, watching the ship grow smaller through the window. As the pod detached from Arbitrium, the prison ship faded into the dark behind them. Silent, once again. Waiting. But this time, its silence held secrets that would not stay hidden forever. We made it, Cenax said. For now, Aliari replied. Thessalon closed her eyes and leaned back. Thank you, Araya, for saving us both. Cenax looked at them. Two alien women from different worlds with different strengths. He had been told to choose one. Instead, he chose to change everything. We're not done yet, he said. Now we tell the truth. The stars ahead were endless, and the fight for justice was just beginning. The small escape pod glided through space, moving away from the ghostly prison ship Arbitrium. Inside, the silence was calm, but tense. Cenax kept his hands on the controls, checking the course and watching for danger. He had programmed the pod to fly toward the nearest human base, Outpost Echo 5. It would take 6 hours to reach it. Aliari stood near the rear of the pod, staring out the small window. She didn't say much, but her eyes never stopped moving. She was always alert, always watching. Thessalon sat quietly in the co-pilot's seat. Her eyes were closed, but her thoughts were wide awake. I can still feel the cries, she said softly. Cenax turned his head. From the ship, she nodded. So many voices. Memories left behind. Pain held in the walls. Aliari crossed her arms. Pain is part of war. We carry it. Then we move forward. But what about those who couldn't move? Thessalon asked. Those who were forgotten? Aliari didn't reply. Cenax reached into his suit and pulled out the small data drive. This might hold their voices. If we can decode it, maybe we'll know the truth. Thessalon opened her eyes. Then we must share it. Not just with humans, but with all who suffered. Aliari walked over, looking at the drive in his hand. If it proves the Varnak used prisoners for tests, some species may call for justice. Others may want war again. Cenax met her gaze. What do you want, Aliari? She was quiet for a moment, then said, I want the truth known. Not for revenge, but for respect. Our pain should not be buried. He nodded. A soft beep came from the control panel. Unknown vessel detected, said the pod's system voice. Approaching fast. Cenax looked at the screen. A ship was closing in. Sleek, fast, and clearly not human. It's a Varnak scout ship, he said. They tracked us. Aliari's eyes narrowed. They want to silence us. Thessalon looked calm. Then we must not let them. Cenax quickly switched to manual controls. We're not built for battle. This is a rescue pod. Aliari moved. To the weapons locker, just an emergency kit. She pulled out a small energy pistol. One gun, not enough. Thessalon placed her hand on the wall of the pod. A soft green light spread across her fingers. The ship is afraid, she said. But it can be brave, too. What are you doing? Cenax asked. I'm trying to calm it, help it fly smarter, like I did on the prison ship. The pod shook. A warning alarm buzzed. Target lock, the system said. Incoming pulse. Beam. Cenax steered hard. avoiding the shot just in time. The pod spun but stabilized. Aliari held onto a rail. We can't outrun them. Thessalin's eyes glowed. Then we must reach someone who can help. She closed her eyes and reached out, not with her hands but with her mind. I'm sending a signal, a feeling, across the stars. Scinex frowned. A feeling? Yes, she said gently. Empathy. A message of truth. There are others who can hear. Minutes passed. The Varnak ship closed in. A second blast rocked the pod, then a sudden ping. New contact detected, the system said. Scinex looked at the screen. A second ship appeared, sleek, dark blue, with glowing silver engines. Aliari's eyes widened. Imari battle cruiser. Voice came over the comm, proud and strong. This is Captain Varel of the Stormfire. We received a signal of distress. Identify yourselves. Aliari stepped forward. This is Aliari of the Imari, prisoner of the Varnak. I have escaped. And I am not alone. The voice paused. Then, with respect, it replied, Welcome home, sister. The Imari ship fired a warning shot toward the Varnak scout. The Varnak ship turned, then fled into warp space. The pod was safe. Cheers echoed through the small cabin. Even Aliari allowed herself a small smile. You called them, Scinex said, to Thessalin. With just your feelings. Not just mine, she replied. Ours, all three of us. Hope travels faster than light. The Imari cruiser sent a shuttle to escort them. Within the hour, they stood aboard the Stormfire, greeted by warriors in silver armor and soft robes. Aliari was given a place of honor. Thessalin was treated with kindness and peace, and Scinex, though a human, was welcomed as a hero. That night, they shared the data from the drive. The Imari elders viewed the files with heavy hearts. There is much pain in these records, said one elder. But also proof. The galaxy must see this. Aliari nodded. Then we will show them. Together. Thessalin placed a gentle hand on the table. Let truth be a light in the dark. Scinex looked at both women and smiled. You were once prisoners, he said. Now you're the voice of the forgotten. The Imari cruiser. Stormfire sailed quietly through deep space. Its halls were peaceful, but its mission had grown urgent. Inside one of the main meeting rooms, three figures stood at the center of attention. Scinex, Aliari, and Thessalin. In front of them were Imari leaders, old and wise, dressed in long silver robes. Behind them were warriors and scholars. A large screen glowed with blue light, showing images taken from the Varnak prison ship Arbitrium. The dark truths were no longer hidden. These are records of suffering, one Imari elder said. The Varnak captured hundreds, not just for war but for experiments. Thessalin nodded gently. They tested weapons on living beings, measured fear, pain, and psychic strength. I could feel every memory trapped in those walls. Aliari looked angry but calm. My people thought I died in battle. I was taken, locked in that place for years. But now I speak not for revenge, but for justice. Scinex stepped forward, holding a small data pad. I was told to recover one survivor. I found two. I chose to free both, and this truth came with them. The room fell quiet. Then the chief elder stood. Her voice was steady. This information must be shared, not just with the Imari. The whole galaxy must know. But, another council member asked, how will others react? The Relari value peace. The humans fear another war. Some will not want this truth. We can't protect lies just to keep peace, Scinex said. That's not peace, that's silence. Thessalin placed her hand on the table, her soft green aura glowing faintly. We must speak for the voiceless. Aliari looked around the room. If the Varnak are hiding more prisons like Arbitrium, we must find them. Free the others. The council agreed. A signal was sent across Imari space. The truth of the lost has been found. Soon other species received the message. The Rellery, the humans, and even distant worlds heard the voice of Thessalin as part of a broadcast. I was a diplomat. I believed in peace. And I still do. But peace cannot rest on lies. Let justice rise instead, and build something better. The message traveled far, and brought many reactions. On Earth, human leaders debated quickly. Some feared conflict, others called for action. One human general said, "If the Varnak have done this, we cannot look away. We stand with the survivors." Back on the Stormfire, Thessalin met with Aliari and Sinax in a quiet chamber. The three had grown close, united not by where they came from, but by what they had survived. "We've started something," Sinax said. "A wave. A wave can crash or carry," Aliari replied. "We must guide it." Thessalin turned to them both. "There's more. The Arbitrium, it was not the only prison ship." Sinax looked surprised. "You're sure?" "I felt echoes, names, numbers, locations hidden in the data you saved." Aliari stood up. "Then we're not done. We must find the others." Sinax smiled slightly. "I was hoping you'd say that." The Stormfire offered them a fast ship, the Starlight Path, a small but advanced scout vessel, built for speed, silence, and stealth. The Amari trusted Aliari to lead it. She accepted, but only on one condition. "I want Thessalin and Sinax with me. We started this together. We finish it together." And so, a new mission began. The trio, now called the Three Lights by Amari, Whispers, left the cruiser and took flight across space. Their first stop, a distant asteroid belt where another signal had been detected, a weak but familiar code hidden in the data. As they entered the dusty system, Thessalin closed her eyes. "There's pain here, but also hope." Aliari readied her armor. "Let's bring that hope home." Sinax piloted the ship smoothly between the floating rocks. In the distance, a strange shape appeared. A small, silent station, hidden inside a hollow asteroid. Looked abandoned, but they all knew better. "I'll go first," Sinax said, grabbing his rifle. "No," Aliari said, stepping beside him. "We go together." Thessalin nodded. Always together, they entered the station, and the darkness welcomed them. Lights flickered. Doors creaked. Somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered through a speaker, weak but clear. "Please, help us." The three exchanged a look. No fear, only purpose. They were not just survivors anymore. They were the answer. The air inside the asteroid station was cold and thin. The walls were cracked, covered in dust and silence. As Sinax, Aliari, and Thessalin stepped into the long hallway, their footsteps echoed like distant memories. A faint voice repeated through the speakers again. "Please, help us." It was weak, but it still carried pain. And hope. Aliari raised, her blaster eyes sharp and alert. "This place feels like the Arbitrium, too quiet." Thessalin placed her hand on the wall. A soft green light spread under her fingers. "The station is old, but still alive. It wants to help us." Sinax moved carefully ahead, his rifle ready. "Let's follow the voice, stay close." They passed empty rooms with broken beds, shattered screens, and torn clothes. It was clear people had lived here, then vanished. Some rooms still had personal items. A child's drawing, a cracked water bottle, an old journal. Each item told a silent story. Suddenly, a door at the end of the hallway opened by itself. A light blinked above it. Thessalin whispered, "That's where they are." Inside was a small control room. In the center stood an old communication unit, flickering. It was broken, but still working, barely. A hologram blinked to life. A pale, alien man, thin and tired, looked up. His image was shaky. "If anyone hears this, we are prisoners, taken from many worlds. We are trapped, but we are not broken." He coughed hard. "We were kept for tests. Some of us are still here. Still, waiting." Then the hologram faded. Aliari stepped forward and touched the console. "Can you find where the message came from?" Thessalon knelt beside her, eyes closed. Yes, the signal is looping from below, deep in the station's lower levels. Scifi checked the map. Then that's where we're going. They made their way down through narrow tunnels and maintenance shafts. Strange sounds echoed around them, mechanical hisses, soft breathing, or maybe the wind. It was hard to tell. When they reached the lower level, the smell changed. The air was thick and old, filled with metal and dust. Thessalon stopped. Her eyes glowed softly. They are here, close, and scared. Aliari stepped forward and opened the next door. Inside was a large holding area. More than a dozen aliens sat or lay inside, weak, tired, but alive. They looked up in shock as the door opened. Some backed away, fearing another test or guard. But Thessalon stepped in first, hands raised, glowing softly with peace. "We are not your enemies," she said kindly. "We heard your cry." A small alien girl stood up slowly. "Are you from the stars?" Scifi smiled. "Yes, and we're here to take you home." Tears filled the eyes of many. They had waited so long. Most thought help would never come. Aliari checked the control panel nearby. "Locks are simple. I can open them." She tapped the keys and the doors opened with a soft hiss. The captives slowly stepped out, blinking and uncertain. One elderly alien touched Scifi's arm. "You're human. Why help us?" He looked the old man in the eyes. "Because it's right." With the survivors free, they made their way back up the tunnels. But just as they reached the main hallway, an alarm blared. Zzz. Intruder detected. Old defense drones powered on. 3 of them rolled into view, weapons armed. Scifi quickly moved in front of the group. "Take cover." Aliari didn't wait. She leapt forward and sent a wave of psychic energy at the drones. 2 were pushed back, sparks flying. The third fired a pulse shot. Thessalon raised her hands. A green shield formed just in time, blocking the attack. Scifi aimed and fired. His shot hit the drone's sensor. It whirled, sparking, then shut down. Within seconds, the hall was quiet again. "You okay?" Scifi asked. Thessalon nodded, breathing hard. "Yes. Just tired." The captives looked on with wide eyes. "You fought for us," one whispered. Aliari turned. "No one should be forgotten. You matter." They reached the starlight path waiting at the edge of the asteroid. Scifi helped the weak aboard. Aliari guided the injured. Thessalon comforted the youngest. Once aboard, the ship lifted into space, flying free once again. As stars filled the window, Thessalon smiled. I felt them lose their fear. Like light, breaking through clouds. Scifi sat back in the pilot's chair. "That's what we're here for, to bring light." Aliari looked at both of them. "There may be more stations, more cries we haven't heard yet." Scifi nodded. "Then we'll find them, all of them." They flew toward the stars, not just as rescuers, but as voices for the lost, lights that refused to go out. The stars looked brighter than ever from the cockpit of the starlight path. After many long days of searching and saving, the small ship now carried more than just hope. It carried survivors, stories, and a message the galaxy could no longer ignore. Scifi sat at the controls, guiding the ship toward Outpost Echo 5. Behind him, Aliari watched the stars quietly. Thessalon sat near the young alien girl they had rescued from the asteroid station, gently humming a song from her homeworld. They were tired, but their hearts were strong. "We'll reach Echo 5 in 20 minutes, Scifi said. Aliari nodded. "And then?" "Then we speak," Thessalon said softly. "To leaders, to people, to anyone who will listen." "They will listen now," Aliari added. "Too many truths have come to light." As the ship approached the outpost, they were greeted by a fleet of mixed vessels, human, Imari, Relari, and even some once neutral worlds. The message from the Stormfire had reached every corner of the galaxy. The truth was no longer silent. The ship landed smoothly on the wide silver platform of Echo 5. A crowd was already waiting. Reporters, peacekeepers, scientists, and diplomats, all gathered as the three heroes stepped out of the starlight path. The rescued survivors followed behind, some still weak, others holding each other, but all finally free. A human commander approached first. He saluted Sinax. "You've done something incredible. You didn't just complete your mission, you changed it." Sinax returned the salute. "I didn't do it alone." Aliari stepped forward. "I was once your enemy, but no more. Today, we stand together." Thessalon spoke next, her voice calm but full of strength. "What we discovered was not just cruelty. It was a wound in the heart of the galaxy. If we do not heal it, it will open again." A large screen lit up above the crowd. The message from the prison station played. The alien voices, once forgotten, now reached millions. The recordings, the proof, the pain, it was all real, and now it was shared. There was silence when the video ended. Then, one by one, people began to clap. Not just for the bravery of Sinax or the wisdom of Thessalon or the strength of Aliari, but for the truth that had finally broken free. Later that day, a council was held. Leaders from many worlds gathered in a great hall inside the outpost. The three heroes stood before them once again. A Relari diplomat spoke first. "Do you have proof the Varnak built more than one station?" Thessalon answered, "We do. The data we found lists at least 4 more locations. We must find them." Aliari stepped up. "We are not asking for war. We are asking for help. Rescue ships, justice teams, truth tellers." The Amari ambassador stood. "The Amari are ready to help. We will offer ships and warriors." The human commander spoke next. "Earth will join. We won't turn away." One by one, the council members agreed. A new alliance was born, not one for battle, but for recovery and unity. After the meeting, Sinax, Aliari, and Thessalon stood outside watching the sunset behind the nearby planet. "We did it," Sinax said. "No," Aliari said with a small smile. "We started it." Thessalon nodded. "The pain is not over, but now, so many more, will never be forgotten." The young alien girl they rescued walked up and held Thessalon's hand. "Where will I go now?" she asked. Sinax knelt beside her. "Wherever you want. You're free." She looked up at the stars. "Can I help others like me?" Thessalon smiled warmly. "You already have. Your voice helped guide us." Aliari turned to Sinax. "What will you do next?" He shrugged. "I was just a scout, but now, maybe I'll stay with this team." Thessalon looked at both of them. "We've come far, but there are still voices calling in the dark. I can hear them." "Then we follow them," Aliari said. "Together." The stars above twinkled as if they were listening. The galaxy had changed, not because of war, not because of weapons, but because 3 unlikely allies chose to listen, to act, and to never walk away from what was right. Their mission would continue, not as soldiers, not as symbols, but as light-bringers. And in every corner of the galaxy, where hope was nearly lost, someone would whisper their names: Sinax, Aliari, Thessalon, the ones who didn't forget.